So, Friday night, I'm waiting for a hanger steak to rest, and I haven't done this in a while. Not a whole heck of a lot to share, but as my steak was cooking, I had this Ramirez de la Piscina Rioja Reserva 2016 $15 wine, and I wanted it to be better. I had it recently from a restaurant and it was better. I'm not sure if it was the vintage, I'm not sure if it was the Grand Reserva, it could have been the Crianza. So this one is good and I like it, especially for the price point, but I don't love it to buy like a case of it. So having one or two around for a weekday red is pretty good. Nothing tremendously interesting there. It's just a solid, well-made wine, but there's better Riojas. I always keep a Nerella Muscalesi. I like this, the Tenuta della Terranera, I don't even know how to pronounce it, but Sicilian red, your blend between a Nebbiolo, Pinot Noir, but more Pinot Noirish, light red. I think this goes great with so many foods, plus it's $20. Fantastic wine. I always have one of these at home now. This Barolo, 33 something dollars. 2018 Albe, I think is a fantastic Barolo and just awesome. The Silvio Grasso also is a great Barolo for about $30. So finding some Barolos that are a little more affordable is interesting, but the best ones are well, the best ones are very expensive, but the entry level typically to get a real high quality is probably 40 minimum, probably 50, 60. It's one of the weekday wines I bought. I've never had this one. Got the Classico Reserva 2016, great year. Vitigio. So I don't know it, but great. I think it was probably near 30. So the 2016 being a great vintage out of Tuscany. Always like having Obsidian's standard cab for $30-ish. Is the 2019 vintage. And this wine's great. So this is Almarez. This is a Toro. So this wine, I think, was 20 or 25. 25, 20, 20, let's say 25. This is a 2020. And it's Tempranillo, but made from Toro. It's a slightly more modern, bigger, bolder version of Tempranillo than Rioja. I think this wine is awesome. I've turned a lot of people onto this wine over the years, and now it's just harder to find, but I believe it's a really great wine when you can find it. Wegmans was carrying it, so maybe Wegmans near you will have it. The other wine I'm having tonight with my steak, and I bought 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them, is, can't really tell from the label here because I always change it, but it's Herman Stories on the Road. This is a Syrah, a Grenache from California. Grenache typically is not a big, bold wine, but this is made in a big, bold style. And the last time I had it, I rewatched my video and I was just fawning over it. And I said, you know, I might as well just get some. And it's not really available that many places. I got a relatively decent deal. It's gone up to about 50 something dollars a bottle, so it's not a great deal. But for a big, unctuous, delicious wine, I forget what vintage I tried, but it had some years on it. I'm gonna open one of these now, probably another one soon, and then the rest I'll probably age a bit because these are monsters. I mean, these are, any of them, the ones I've ever had were monsters. Maybe this one isn't. We're about to find out. I could be wrong about this. Gosh, wax tops are just really annoying. You just go right through the wax, but this one actually came off pretty easy. Sometimes they're really annoying. High quality cork, not that that means a whole heck of a lot, except that they are putting in some effort here. And as usual, Herman Story makes these 15.8% alcohol. This is going to be massive, I think. The last one I remember was massive, but I specifically said it was really well balanced. But I've had a lot of their other wines too. I just believe this was their best one. Yeah, it smells like a sweet raspberry pie. I smell ripe blackberries. Typically Grenache is very strawberry and red fruited. This this has a lot of raspberry right now. This is very heavy. It's like raspberry liqueur a little bit on the nose. I don't remember what the other aromas were. I didn't let this open up at all either. I probably should decant some of this for being such a monster, but this is good wine. It's strong. I could feel the alcohol in this one more. This one seems a little more restrained. More acidity is coming through on this one. Still got the delicious factor. Still got this unctuous level to it. I just think it needs a few years to really come into its own, but I think it's great. I think a little of the alcohol will settle down. It has that delicious factor, which I love. So I have a bunch of those to let age over time. Wish I had more space. Been getting a little back into some of the cocktails. Negronis, old fashions. I like a gin martini. And I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about this specific vermouth brand. So vermouth in Europe typically could be drank as an aperitif, plain on its own, not always just mixed or spritzed in a... the recommendation was to do a 50-50 of this specific vermouth, which is dry, but not super dry. I have the dry one too. I bought this one too. And I bought a sweet vermouth of a higher quality from Italy. This one's French. And the recommendation was to do this Blanc one, 50-50 with gin, and it would sort of change your martini loving experience with gin. I haven't tried it yet. I will. But, you know, these are made from grapes, so it's considered wine. I'm not here focusing on spirits, but worth mentioning that I bought those as well for that reason. All these bottles look like they have different... So these are all 2019 Herman Story on the roads, but there's different labels for some of them. I'm looking over at some of the bottles. There's one of these clothespins. I don't know if it means anything. I don't think so. So Russell Fromm is the winemaker here. And he says drink at 65 degrees. Don't quite think it's 65. That's a little warmer though. I think this is going to open up though. And go great with steak. Yeah, it's got that delicious factor. It's like raspberry pie. Yeah, I mean, for near 16%, that's really in check. Even just popped and poured. As it decants, I just think this is gonna go sing. It's just good stuff. I'm glad I got a bunch. Kind of been thinking about some wines to buy a bunch of, and this is sort of one of them. It is summertime. I'd like to get some whites. There's a Spanish white made from the Verdejo grape, and it's an oak-aged Verdejo called Los Suertes from Nicia, and it's a great white. The problem is it's just not found very often. And I want to get some more Cítricos from Hatzidakis, and unfortunately they're not cheap, but I'd like to get like a case to have this summer with some, you know, if I go to a BYOB fish restaurant, or I want to make my own, grill my own sardines or something, and just pair it with those whites. I mean, it is, to me, those Hatzidakis with a little bit of that texture in there, and just the quality of them. They're acidic, but they're not like the Cigadas. I think I got to try some others. Cigadas I'm going to retry, but that one I felt like was so razor sharp. You absolutely had to pair it with food, and you couldn't have a whole heck of a lot of it. Whereas the Hatzidaki stuff just is mouth-watering. I can't stop drinking it. I just want to finish a bottle. But for the cost, you normally want to let it spread it out a little bit. So it's good to see this resurgence, this upward movement in some Greek wines. I did also watch something recently that wine is on the decline. I think wine consumption's on the decline. I don't quite know why, but maybe people are just opting for seltzers and beers and other things. I thought kind of beer was on the decline, all these seltzers. I think cocktails are back kind of on the upswing from what I'm hearing. But I mean, I'm having some, but it's probably just to get rid of some of the stock I have behind that way. So I'm gonna enjoy this wine with my steak. See how it goes with the hanger. Hopefully, I've made this hanger pretty well. And as I drink these over time, see how they fare. I definitely am gonna open another one next year. Maybe just open one every year. It'll take me 8 years here, 7 years, because open 2, 7 years worth. It's not a bad plan. One Herman story a year. That's actually not a bad strategy maybe for some of these wines. Buy a wine that is age worthy or can age and just drink one a year. I got plenty of other wine to drink. You know, weekdays I don't want to be drinking a Herman Story 16%er. Definitely saving that for a weekend type of thing. So I mean, looking over, I need some more Montepulciano d'Abruzzo. So a wine that I've kind of neglected a little bit, not on purpose, just out of sight, out of mind type of thing. So enough talking, time to eat. Have a good night.